work. So this was pretty much everything about image. So that's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so if you are using Android Studio and not Visual Studio Code, this video might not be for you. So you can skip to the next video right now, because we will talk about extensions with Visual Studio Code. So you can see that when I put my path of my image, I have a little image preview. This is because I have an extension called image preview. All right, so you can download and enable this if you want. After this, we have the better comment. Better comment is just a way to put colors for comments, because normally this is a comment, but if you put this, now the comment is red, and if you put like question mark, now it's blue, and stuff like that. So you use it if you want. After this, I have the awesome Flutter snippet. This one is pretty cool because you just write like a shortcut, and it will write a lot of code for you. So we will use this inside this course. You will see I will use a lot of time the shortcuts, and we will save a lot of time. So you can enable this also. The last one is the material icon theme. So I have already this installed, and it's inside the Explorer. You can see all my files. We have some sort of icons before each files, and I think it's cool. So that's about it. You can enable them if you want, and I see you in the next video. Bye. In this video, we will talk about the stack widget. So most of the time, you will have a child inside a widget. So you will be able to put a widget inside and nest all the widget together. But by example, this time, the image, that asset don't have any child. So how do you put a text over it in the center? For this, you will need to use the stack widget. So what you will do is you will go over the image, you will right click, and you will say refactor with a column, like this. If you do a column and you put a text after, so right now it's because we use the height infinity, I will remove this. And yeah, if we save, now we should have something. Let's reload the application. Yeah, we have our image. The reason was inside a column, it's a widget infinite, and then we have another infinite. This is why it was not working. So what we'll do is we will say text, and inside we will say, I don't know, Flutter or anything. You can put anything. And now you see that the text is under the image, but we want it over the image. So instead of using a column, we will use a stack widget. And it works just the same. It uses a children inside, which you have a list of widgets separated with all commas. So now, if we put the comma right there also and save, we have the text Flutter right there. So what you could do is you could put the text in the center by right-clicking on text, refactor, and wrap with a center widget. All right, so let's save. And now, yeah, you see that this is not working because it's going inside the center of the application. So what we could do to fix this real fast is we could define a height of maybe 300 for each of them. So this one and the center, maybe we could wrap it, say refactor with a sized box and put a height of 300 also. And now you see that it's in the center. So this is how you play with the code. All right, so that's about it for the stack widget. And I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Now let's talk about another widget called the padding. So it's pretty much like the container, because if you remember, by example, if we go over the stack, we wrap this refactor, wrap with a container. Inside the container, we can put the padding argument, and then we say agentsets.all, and we put a value, maybe 50.0. So we will have a padding, all right? But there is also the widget just padding. You could replace the container with padding and save, and it will do just the same. The difference is padding is only for padding. But if you use the container, you can see that you have many other arguments and stuff that you could put inside. So if you only need a padding, use the padding widget because it will be like less expensive for the application. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. In a previous video, I've used a widget called sizedbox without any warning and never explained to you what it was. So I will explain inside this video. So a sizedbox is pretty much like a container, but only for the height and the width. So you can see if we go inside the arguments, we only have the width. So the container again is the one that have pretty much everything. It can use a padding or it can use a height and a width. But if you only need to use the height and the width, you should use the sizedbox because again, it's less expensive than the container. It's the same thing with the padding, okay? So the sizedbox is just that, is an empty box that you can put a height and a width and then a child inside. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so how do you add an icon inside your app? So for this, you will go inside the section app bar of the scaffold and we will work inside one argument called the leading. All right. And inside the leading, which is the start of the app bar, what you will do is you will put an icon like this. And inside, you use the same logic as the colors. You remember when you use a color with the Flutter, it's colors with the S dot a color. Then you will do the same thing. So we'll say icons with the S dot, and then you have all your icons. If you want to see it, you click the little blue thing like this. And you select the one you want. So we'll just say notification or anything and we'll save. So you can see that we use an icon inside our app bar. Great. So we could also change the color by going inside the arguments. You press Control Space and then you use the argument color and you say colors with dot ember or anything and you save. So that is how you use an icon. We can delete it because we will not need this later. But we will reuse this inside another widget that I will show you inside the next video. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so another widget I want to show you is called the list style widget. So we will go inside the stack and we will change the list style. We will use the list style. And inside we will say title and the title takes a widget inside. So if we go, you see that this takes a widget. So we'll say text, and I will remove this because it takes a lot of place, and I will say text, and inside you can write anything, it doesn't really matter. So this is a list style. But after this, we will change the color because I want you to see what is the list style. So the tile color will say colors.red, and I will save. Okay, so you cannot see it right now because we have an image and the list tile color has a weird thing that the color goes behind every stack. I know it's weird, but it is how it works. So what we will do is I will delete the image and you will see this is the list style. So because we are using a padding, I will remove the padding also. Now you can see the entire list style. It's how it looks. But what we'll do also is we will put an argument called the leading. In the leading, what we will put inside is an icon, and we'll use icons dot, and inside we put anything, so join full. All right, and another thing you can use inside is the trailing. Inside the trailing, what you will put is, by example, a text, and again, like this, and you will see it at the end. Perfect. Another thing, again, we can use is the on tap. So this will create a function. Okay, if you don't have the option, you just press Control Space and you will have the options of using both like this. You use this one and now you can put a function inside and now you can save. So that's about it and I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so we created some sort of empty function, but how do we see when we tap on it? So what we will do is we will use a simple print function like this. And you will write, I don't know, clicked on or anything. So I will put my semicolon, I will save, and I will open the terminal. Inside the debug console, now you will see that when I press on this list style, boom, you have clicked on. And then that's about it. Every time you clicked on it, you will see a number count. So this is how you print something with Flutter. Very simple stuff. And you can use this to debug sometime. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Another widget I want to show you before we move on is called the wrap widget. And this one is pretty cool. Okay, so we have talked about the list style, and the list style is a little bit like a row. So we will replace the list style. I will go inside the body. I will replace all of this with a row widget. Inside, we will put the children, which will be multiple widget back to back. And we'll say text, and I will say anything, and put a comma. Let's save. So we have one text widget. Let's add another one. And let's add like maybe 5 and save. You see how we have an error right there? It's because we don't have enough place to display all the widget inside the screen. And this is the thing with the row widget, it can happen. So if you want to make sure that this doesn't happen, you can replace this with the wrap. And now let's save. And you see how everything goes down if you don't have enough place. Another thing is, let's try to create something even bigger. So maybe this, and save. You see that even if the text widget doesn't enter, it will still put it down. So this is a really helpful widget to remember, the wrap widget. If you have problems with the row, then you can use this. That's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. It's now time to talk about the master layout. So we have talked about a lot of little widgets that you can put together to create the app, but what about like the big picture? How the skeleton of the app work? This is what we'll do. So what we'll do, we will go a little bit crazy and we will delete everything. All right, let's do this. Let's just keep the main run my app. Okay, so what we'll do is we will start from scratch. First thing first, there is like 3 things we will talk about. We will talk about the stateless, then we will talk about the material app, and then we will talk about the scaffold. Okay, so you have a mental picture of what we'll talk about. The first thing we'll do is we will write the stateless widget. So if you just write STL or STA, you will find stateless widget. You click this one, and this will build automatically the widget for you. After this, you will write my app, because it just needs to be the same name as this. So if you change my app for something else, you will need to change these also. Great. So this is a stateless widget, and this is the first part. We will talk later about what is the stateless widget and stateful widget. But as a quick explanation, stateless means that the screen will not change. And a stateful widget means that when the user clicks things, then the screen refresh with new stuff. It doesn't matter if you understand right now, but what we will talk about in this video is more about the material app, because later we will talk about this and more about this. So let's use the material app. You will replace the container for a material app. So this is like the theme of your application. So you can see that right now it's all black, and you remember the debug banner. What we'll do is we will remove this. We will say show debug banner false, unless you want to keep it. After this, we just have a black screen. So what we need is, we need the home of our application, which is an argument. And inside, we just put a widget. And the widget is the scaffold. The scaffold widget is the third part, which I told you, is the skeleton of the app. So this is more like the theme of the app, and this is the skeleton. All right, we will work on this on the next video, but for now, let's work on the material again. Let's change the theme. And if you remember previously, we had something called the color. Was it color? It was theme. Yeah. So we have the theme of the application, and the theme takes the theme data. So we'll say theme data. And then inside, we'll say dot from. Is it from? No, it's a theme data. Inside, we put the color scheme. Exactly. And the color scheme, what you will do is you will say color scheme dot from seed. This is the easiest way to do it. All right. There is like 10 ways that you can put colors inside your app. I just find it that the color scheme that from seed is the easiest, and that's about it. So you will remove the color and you will say colors dot let's create our application color teal, because I think it's cool. I will put all my commas, I will save, and now you see that we have some sort of teal white. All right. So if you put red, you will see that the color background is a little bit different. So now we have some sort of theming inside our app. But also, it will be cool to have our application dark. So I will say brightness, and I will say brightness.dark. I will put my comma and save. So now our application have some sort of theme of color teal and the brightness dark. On the next video, we will start working on the scaffold. That's about it for the third things. I will delete them and I see you on the next video. Bye. Okay, so the scaffold is the cool part of the application because it's the skeleton and it's where you start to see your application take life. So inside the scaffold, we have something called the app bar argument. If you go over, you will see that the app bar suggests something called the preferred size widget. But it's just better to use the app bar because everything is built up for you. Inside the app bar, you have the title, which you will use inside a widget. You can see right there. And we will use the text widget. Inside, we will just call it Flutter. You can put anything. We'll put Flutter map. And now you have the title. If you have the title on the left side, it's because you are using more like Android stuff. If you use Android, you can fix all of these by using, by example, it's center title, and you can say true. Or if I say false, I will go on the left side. Okay? So this is how you use it. The difference is with Flutter, iOS and Android have some differences, all right? And the differences, if there are, I will try to tell you. And it's very rare. It's like 1% of widgets that have differences. So you should not have that big of problems. All right, anyway, so we have the app bar. Next, what we have inside is other arguments called the leading. We have used this one previously. We will put a simple icon, but an icons dot, what do we put? Login, I don't know. Let's save. After this, we will put another thing called the action arguments. So this one have a list, and it will be a list of multiple things that goes at the end of the app bar. So what we could do is we could put an icon again, or let's use a text widget, doesn't really matter, and we can put anything and save. So you can see that this is at the end. And you could just copy also the icon and paste an icon also and save. You have multiple things you can do with that. So after this, inside the app bar, you can press Control Space and it will change the color. So we say background color and you can say colors.teal and let's save. So this was a lot of things about the app bar. It's pretty much the thing you will need. There's other arguments, but you don't really need them. It's because, yeah, they are a lot. One maybe you could use is the bottom. The bottom will allow you to put like more stuff behind, under the title. But yeah, I don't really use it. So that's about it. So I see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so the next thing we need to talk about is how to add a navigation bar at the bottom of your app. So what we'll do first thing first is we will clean a little bit the application because it's kind of ugly. So inside the app bar, we will keep the title. We will remove center title, I will say true, and we'll remove the action and leading and background. All of these and save. Great. We will also delete this and it's better. Next thing we'll do is we'll go inside the scaffold. We have the app bar, and after the app bar, we have the bottom navigation bar. So we'll use this, and if you go over, you will see that it does take a widget. And the widget we'll use is the navigation bar. So the navigation bar will take destinations, right? Which is a list of widget. What we'll do is we'll remove this and we will put a list, and we will say navigation bar destination or navigation destination like this. Now we need to give it an icon. So I will say icons.home. I will format document so you can see better. I will put all the commas and save. After this, we need a label. The label will take a simple string. So we will say home and save. Now we have an error. So I will put all my commas also, and we will need to fix this. So again, I told you that inside this course, I will show you my two-step to fix errors. This will just fix it real fast. If you understand, it's good. If you don't, doesn't really matter because I will explain you later. So what we'll need to do is we will just read this. The destination.length need to be bigger or equal to 2, which means this thing need to have at least 2 items inside. So I will copy the navigation destination, and I will paste another one and save. So now we have 2 items which make the application work. We will change the second one for profile, and the icon will be, I think it's person, and let's save. Great, so now it looks better. But after this, you can see that it's not clickable. Nothing happened when you click on it. We will fix this later by using the stateless and stateful widget, but for now, what we could do is we could just change it manually. So by example, if you go inside after destination, inside the navigation bar, you press Control Space, and you have the index maybe, selected index. So if you put 0, it will be the first one, and if you put 1, then it will be the second one. So you see, we do it manually. So another thing we could do is on destination selected, if you press Control Space, you will see we have this value that returns something. So this function will return the value that we have clicked. So if you go over value, you will see that this take an int. So I will say int just to define the type. All right, so it's more clear. And after this, inside the function, we'll use the print function that we know, and we will print the value. And I will put my semicolon. And now let's save. If we open the terminal or the debug console, and I will restart the app, all right? If we click on home, you see we have 0. And if I click on profile, we have 1. So now we have access of this index, but it's still not updating. We will do this later inside this course. That's about it. And I will just delete the print, and we can move on to the next video. I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so the next widget is the floating action button. This one is pretty cool. If you remember, when we had our first app, we had a little button on the side where you were able to click on something like that. So what we'll do is we will recreate this button. We will go inside the scaffold again, and inside the scaffold, we will create the floating action button argument and use the floating action button widget. Great. Now the onPress, you will delete and you will press Control Space, and you will use the second one, the second function. And now you can format document and save. You see the little button right there? That's great. Now we need to define an icon for this. So we will go inside, and in the argument, we will say child, and the child takes a widget if you go over. So you will say an icon, and inside icons.add or anything. So now you have a little plus sign, a little button. Again, if you want to make sure that it does work, you can use a print function and print anything inside, put the semicolon, and check inside the debug console. So when I press on it, I need to save first. When I press on it, I have this print. Okay, so this is how to use the floating action button. Another thing I need to show you is, what about you need 2 of them? So you can wrap this floating action button because it does take a widget and it's not required to be exactly this. So you can wrap it with a column. So refactor, wrap with a column. And then inside you can just paste another floating action button and save. And you can see that this is not working, and it's because the column, we need to change the main axis size to main axis size.minimum. So main axis size.minimum and save. Great, we have 2 of them. And we could also use a sized box widget with the height of maybe 10.0 and use this. So this is how it could look. All right, so that is how to use the floating action button with Flutter. And I see you in the next video. Bye. All right, so let's talk about the drawer widget. This one is pretty cool. I don't really use it as often, but it's there in multiple apps, so I need to show you this. Inside the scaffold, you will go and you will write the drawer argument. Inside the drawer, you will use the drawer widget. Pretty simple. And if you save just by writing this little code, now when you press on this, you will see we have a drawer. Pretty cool, right? After this, inside the drawer, what we will do is we will change maybe the child. The child is what is inside. And what we'll do is we'll use a list style. Let's use this. Let's use a list style and use a title with a text saying, I don't know, logout. And let's save. So now if we reopen the thing, we have the list style right there. But you can see that it's still weird at the place. It's at a weird place. So what we need to use is a drawer header. So what I will do is inside the child, I will wrap this list style. I will say refactor, and I will wrap it with a column. And inside the column, I will use a drawer header like this. All right, and the child will be a simple text or anything saying drawer, and I will put my commas, save and format document. And now you can see that it looks way much better. All right, so this is how you can create a drawer with Flutter. Pretty simple stuff. So that's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. All right, so let me show you one more widget, which is pretty cool. So you remember when we opened the drawer and we had like the logout inside the timer? It was pretty weird. So what we'll do is we will delete the drawer, and I will save again. And now you see we have the logout. But one thing you can use with Flutter is called the safe area. So if I wrap the drawer like this and I say refactor and I wrap it with a widget called the safe area and I save. Now you see that the drawer will not go on the place where the timer or the notch camera is. It will never go there. All right, this is pretty cool. And another thing you can do is you can actually, I will go over the safe area, I will wrap it, refactor, and I will remove this widget. And instead, we will put it maybe over the scaffold. Let's see what happened. So I will say, I will go over the scaffold, I will right click, refactor, and I will wrap this widget with a safe area. And let's save. So now you can see that even the bottom and the top, which have some stuff, is not usable in the app anymore. So this is how you use it. So I will redelete this, and also the drawer, we will delete it also. Let's save. We will remake our app look clean, and we don't need the drawer anymore. The floating action button, we can delete this. We will not use this neither. So this is, I will put this as 0, and we will fix the bottom navigation bar later also. So this is our application. So let's work and let's start building a real app from this. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so before we start building a real app, we need to make sure that you are able to fix bugs by yourself with Flutter. So when you build your own application, you are able to handle problems and build your own app yourself, right? So what we'll do is we will talk about the two types of errors inside Flutter, and I will show you how to fix both of them. So right now, it's the first type. And the first type will happen, and you will have these things like that. You will have like a red curly line under a text. What you need to do is you go over, and you will see expected to find. You will find the error right there. So it's expected to find a comma. The reason is we cannot put like an argument and then a widget without separating another comma in order to display another argument. So this was the first type of error. If you have this, or if, by example, you are missing one bracket, so let's delete the bracket, you will see that if we go there, it's saying expected to find a bracket. So you need to put it back. All right. You will see sometime it's less obvious. Maybe if we do this, you see we have a problem, but the only thing you have to do when you have the red problem, you go over and Flutter should usually give you the answer. All right. So this is how to fix the first type of problems with Flutter. So I see you in the next video to show you the second type. Bye. Okay, so to fix the second type of problems, usually you will have a red screen on your application. And sometimes you will not have the screen, but I will show you both ways are the same. So this is the second type, how to fix your errors with Flutter. So what we will do is, first I will delete one navigation and I will save. this create an error, right? If you don't have the red screen and you know that your application is not like responding the way it should be, what you can do is you can open the terminal and you will see inside the debug that you have some sort of problems. All right. So when it's not working, just check in your debug console and check out if you have errors. Right now, the problem is telling me, like the first link is saying, go to the navigation bar. So usually when you have a problem, it will give you a lot of links, but you can see that many of them is not even like project of mine, right? It's like Flutter or Dart programming. So what you will do is you will find something that you created. By example, the navigation bar, the Dart. Let's find out what is inside. So this is not ours, but you can see that we have a problem with the destination dot length, which is less than 2. All right. So right now, if you go, you see that the main.dart, this is my file. So usually it will be the first, second, or third link, and you just click on it, and it will tell you exactly where is the error inside your code. So you can see that when I click on it, boom, I'm redirected to the main and exactly to the place. So I know that I need to add another navigator like this. So let's do this again, but with another problem. So let's say I replace the title with a container, and I say height, and I say double.infinity, and I save. Now let's restart the application, and you see that we have some sort of errors, but it's not visible in the application. You see, we have an error about the size of the widget, because we have an infinity inside a navbar, which take like maybe just this size. Okay, so let's fix this. Let's go at the top, and let's find the link that bring us to the problem. So you see that we have some sort of box constraints. Let's see where it is. It's not this one. It's not this one. So let's find, we have toolbox. You see sometimes it's less obvious, but it should be at some place. Isolate. Okay, so it's not available. Sometime it can happen. So when it's not available, then you have to find it yourself. So what you will need to do is you will say box constraint force an infinite height. So you need to figure out yourself like why. You could either take this and go on the internet and search about this, like Flutter box constraint force infinite height, and it will tell you that you have like an infinite inside something which is not infinite. So we will delete this and save. And now if I restart the application, you will see that we don't have the error anymore. But let's create another error, by example, colors, and let's say colors.red. And now we will do another thing, is decoration, box decoration. And now let's save. You see that we have the error. But what we can do is we can restart the application, and we can click on the first link. So you see we have the container, which is not this one, but we have the main. If we click on it, it will tell us exactly where is the problem. So you see that sometime the link is not available, but if it's not available, you have all the errors, and then you can search online on Stack Overflow. This is the way to fix your errors with Flutter. All right. So you need to take attention to the debug console, look at the screen, and look at pretty much these places and find your answers. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so we need to talk about null safety right now. What is null safety? So first thing first, we need to remove the error. So I will put back the title like this. I will do Control Z. And now we have our title back and the application is working. Perfect. So we need to talk about null safety. What is null safety? Let's create a variable called string title is equal to Flutter map. And I will put my semicolon. And now I will replace the title for this variable. And now let's save. You see that everything works. But what if we tell Flutter this value can be null? All right, nothing changed, but Flutter is telling us, all right, this value can be null. So you need to tell me like, are you sure that it's not null currently? So what you can do is you can put this and you say to Flutter, I'm sure that this value is not null. So let's restart. And you can see that nothing changed. But this value is now nullable. So what happens if you remove this and you restart the app? You will see that you have an error. And this is because it's null. And then you tell Flutter, I'm sure that this is not null. So this is how you play with null safety. You can define nullable value. And if you want to say like, okay, I'm sure that this value is not null, you define this. Sometimes you will need to create null value. So this is how you do it. But most of the time, if you are able, then just create values like this, and you should have the minimum amount of errors. So I will delete this. And this was how to use null safety. Pretty basic stuff. So let's restart this. We have our name. Great. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. Let's talk about the states. So there is 3 things we will talk about in the further video and this one. And it will be the stateful widget. So the stateful, the stateless, and then it will be the set state. So what are these? The stateful widget is a way to tell Flutter that the screen can refresh. This can refresh. This can't refresh the screen. And this is to refresh the screen. Whatever. I'm tired. Okay, so you can refresh the screen with the stateful. You cannot refresh the screen with the stateless. And this is telling Flutter, I want to refresh this screen right now. So let me show you a real example. First thing first, we'll create a new class, and this one will be called this. We will use a stateful widget, this thing. So click on this, and then you will write it maybe my app or my homepage, whatever. So you will use this, and then we will replace this placeholder for the entire scaffold widget. So we'll take this scaffold and we will cut all of this and we will paste it right inside this. So let's save. We'll remove the constant and we will save. Great. And now we just need to put in the home the name of this. So my home page. And now we can save, and you will see that nothing has changed yet, but we can now use a stateful widget and we can reset this, or we can refresh the screen to change the navigation bar. So that's pretty cool. So what you will do next is you will go over the override. So there is always 2 places where you can put your variables and stuff, either over the override or after the build. Okay, so it's here or here. And right now, because each time we refresh the screen, we rebuild the entire widget. So if you put your variable there, it will always rebuild. So you don't want to put it there right now. So what we'll do is we'll say int, and this will be the current index. And we will start at 0 like this, and we'll use the current index inside this selected index like this. So now if we refresh, still nothing changed, but we will be able to use this pretty soon. Oops, I don't know why this is not profile, and I will put this as a person. All right, so it looks better. So what we'll do next is we will go inside the function and we will change this. We will say the current index is now equal to the value that we receive from the on-destination selected. So now if you refresh, again, nothing will change. And the reason is, it's because we are using a stateful, but we are not resetting or refreshing the screen. We need to use the set state. So what we'll do is we will say set state, and inside the set state, we will show what we want to refresh. So now if we use home or profile, we are now changing page, which is pretty cool. And so this was it. Another thing I want to show you, which could be interesting, is if you go inside the body, and now you wonder, like, how do I display one or another widget? You could say, by example, current index is equal to 0. If it's the case, then display, I don't know, center widget with the text hello or the text 1. And if it's not the case, then, and don't worry if you don't understand, because we will do conditions a couple of times, so it will make sense eventually. This is just a conditions. If the current index is equal to 0, then display this. Otherwise, display the second one. So now if we save, you will see 1. And when you click on profile, you see 2. So this is how you can create stuff. All right, so that's about it for this one, and I see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so I know this was a lot of things to learn to create this app, just this little thing. All right, so what we will do is inside this video, I want you to relax and I want you to watch what I will do, okay? Because I will redo everything. I just want to make sure that you understand each step of the process. And sometimes it's fun to have a biggest view of what we have created. So I will show you what we did in 4 simple steps. So I will delete everything. And what we will create, first thing first, is let's define the steps. We need a material app. Then what we need is we need a scaffold. After this, what we need is an app bar with a title. And then we need a bottom navigation bar, whatever. So it's just 4 steps. So because we will need to use a set state inside the navigation bar, then we will need to use a stateful widget. All right? So this is what we'll do. We'll say stateful widget, and then we will call this my app. And then inside, we will remove the container and use a material app, and we will save. Now you see that we have the debug banner, so we want to remove this. What we'll do is we will say debug banner false. And then we need to change the theme of the application. Do you remember how to do this? It's inside the material app. You will say theme, and then you will say, you just go over, you will see theme data. Yeah, theme data. And then you go inside, and there is something called the color scheme. And you use the color scheme from seed. So color scheme from seed. So in this way, you just have to give one color, and Flutter will do all the stuff for you, which is really cool. So you will say colors.teal, or the color you want. Then I will say comma, and save. Great. So now I will restart the app, and you see that we still have nothing because we don't have any scaffold. So inside the theme, inside the material app, what we will need to do is we will create the home argument and say scaffold. So this is the skeleton of our app. Next, what we want is this to be dark. So I will say brightness.dark, comma, save, and this is what we have. Great. Next, we need an app bar. So we'll say app bar argument, and the widget is a simple app bar. The argument title will require a widget, which will be a text widget, and it will be Flutter map. Let's save. Great. The next thing we need is a simple bottom navigation bar. So we'll go inside the scaffold and we'll say bottom navigation bar, and then we will say navigation bar. In the destination, we will put a list, and then we will save. Now we need to have 2 navigation destinations. So navigation destination, the icon will be a simple icon, and then icons home. And then the label will be, let's put home. All right. It's terrible, my typing, home. And now we need another one. So I will just copy this, copy paste, and I will say profile, and then I will say person. Great. So we just need to use this and change the index. So we will go inside the bottom navigation bar or the navigation bar widget, and we will change the selected index. And this will be a selected index variable that we need to create right there before the build. We don't want it after the build because otherwise it will be rebuilt every time we clicked. So it will be selected index is equal to 0. Finally, what we need is to on changed. So on destination selected change, we change the value and we give it a type just to make it more clear. And then we say selected index is equal to the value. And that's it. So now we can refresh the app and we have, oh, it's not working because we don't have a set state. We need to put a set state and then we put the selected value inside, save, and restart the app. And now we have something working. Great. So you see how it's not that complicated. We have only 4 things: the material app, the scaffold, the app bar, and the bottom navigation bar at the end. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so with Flutter, the goal is to create the smallest widget possible. So you will need to split your widgets inside different files. And I will show you how to do this. And the reason is, by example, when you click the set state and you refresh this little button to just refresh the screen, you don't have to refresh everything. Because right now, when you click on it, this will go to the build and refresh the material app, refresh the scaffold, and refresh everything. And this will slow down your application. So what you need to do is split into different widgets. This is what we will do. We will go inside the library and I will click and I will say new folder. I will say widgets. So this will be a splitted widget that goes inside this. We will create another file and this will be the nav bar widget. So I like to call the name widget at the end so I always know like what it is. All right. So you will go inside navbar widget and you will create this one. We will say state full widget. Great. We will call this one the navbar widget. And then we need to use the import m. So I will say import m. If you don't have import m, it's because you don't have the extension. It's just a shortcut. So you will need to write the entire thing otherwise. Great. So now we have our navbar widget. We can delete the container and we will paste what we had in the main. So we will go inside the main and we delete all of this. I will cut it instead. So I will cut this and I will say navbar widget. So navbar widget. So now this will redirect to the widget we created, navbar widget. Great. And you will paste this thing. Okay, a couple of things first. When you define the name of these files, use all lowercase letters with this little thing to separate them. Great. But when you create the class, use the capital letter and try to use the same name. So navbar widget, navbar widget. Okay. The next thing you need to do is you will need to re-put the selected index. So I will go inside the main and I will cut this thing and I will paste it inside navigation bar before the override. So over the override. Remember, 2 places you can put your stuff: over the override or after the build. After the build, it will be rebuild, so it will not work. So let's refresh. And now you see that our application is still working. But we only refresh this part of the application instead of refreshing the entire my app, which is crazy. Great. So that's about it. And another thing you might ask is, what about now if we want to have inside the scaffold a body? If we have a body and then we have some pages inside, how do we have the value which is inside the navigation bar widget? How do we have access to this information? And this is what I will show you in the next video. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so now we have a problem. We have the data inside the navigation bar widget, but we need also to have the data inside the main. So first thing first, what we'll do is we will separate the scaffold and I will create another folder. This one will be called views. And inside views, we will create another folder called pages. Okay. Inside the views also, we will create maybe another file. This one will be called the widget3. widget3.dart. This will be like where you start your application and then you will go inside pages. So let's create other pages. We will say this one will be called the home page.dart. And then I will move this on the side so you can see better. And then I will create another one, new file. This will be the profile page.dart. And you will see after we have created all the pages and the view, then I will show you how to use the data and so you can use it inside any pages. You'll see this is pretty cool. So we have the widget tree. This one will be a simple stateless widget. And then we will need to import the material. So import M, great. We will need to change the name for widget 3. Okay, and then we have inside what we will put. So we'll go inside the main.dart, and what we will remove is the entire scaffold. So let me remove this. I will cut this, and I will say widget 3. Do we have it? Widget 3, like this. Perfect. So this will redirect. If you want, you can press Control and click on it. This will redirect to the widget tree. So now we can put the scaffold, paste it inside, and we need to have the import of the nav bar. So I will say quick fix, and then I will just say import this one. All right. So now we can go in the main again. We can delete the comments, and we can delete the unused reference. Great. So let's restart the application. Everything should still work, but we still have the same thing on the screen. Let's do the next step. The next step will be to create another stateless widget. So this one will be maybe stateless widget. We need to create another import again. Import M. Great. And now we will change the name for profile page. Great. Inside this one, what we'll do is we'll create a center widget. It's just to see something on the screen. So I will say a center, and then I will use a child, which will use a text widget. All right. This one will be profile page, just like that. Great. So we can copy all of this. I will say Control C, and then I will paste it inside home page. So let's go inside, let's paste it, and then we will replace the name for home page. Simple as that. And we will replace this also for home page. So we see the text home page. Great. So now we can close all things, and we can reopen the widget 3. So this is where we will handle the data. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a variable pages. By example, a list of widget. So this is just the type. Inside is just the type of what will be inside the list. So this will be the pages. And this is equal to a list, because we tell Flutter it's a list. And inside we put widgets. And the widgets we will put are the 2 pages we created. So the home page and then the profile page. Great. So now we have access to these 2 pages. The next thing we need to do is to go inside the scaffold and in the body, like this, and we will say pages.element at. And with this, we will be able to define either 0, which will be the home page, or either the value 1, which will be the profile page. All right. So this is pretty much what we had to do for the view. Now let's talk about how to create the data and pass the data. All right. So we'll go inside the widget 3. And inside this one, we need to access this information. So I think we will do that in the next video, just to separate. I will do this video, maybe creating the structure of this application. And in the next video, I will show you how to handle the data. So you have the 2 things separate. That's it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so how can you handle the data from anywhere inside your application? So right now, we only have the selected index available inside the navigation bar widget, but we need it inside the widget view in order to display either the first or the second element. So let's do this. First thing first, we'll go inside and the widget, we should put it inside the view. So let's put widget inside the view. I will say move, and everything should be handled automatically. So that's good. And next, we will create another folder inside the library called the data. All right. So let's use data, and then we will create another file. This one will be the notifiers.dart. This is where we'll put all our notifiers. And there's 2 things you need to remember when you use notifiers or when you want to handle data like this. First, you will need to use a value notifier. The second one is you will need to use a value listenable builder. Okay, so the value notifier, this one will be the one that hold the data. And then the value listenable builder, it will listen to the data. So if the data change, it will change. And in this case, you don't need the set state. All right, so pretty simple stuff. Let's do this now. What we'll do is we'll create this value notifier. Value notifier, I will press. This will automatically import the material. So we have the value notifier. Let's call this one the selected page. And I like to call notifier at the end also. So now I know that this will be a value notifier because it always ends with notifiers. And next we need to create a value notifier. And inside we will put the value, which will be an int, either 1 or 0. So we'll say 0 as default, and we put our semicolon. So now we created our value notifier. We can use this, but you can also define the type just to make it more clear. This is an int, okay? Next, we need to go back inside the widget 3 or inside the navigation bar widget, and we need to wrap our navigation bar with the value listenable builder. So I will delete all of this. I will cut it instead, and I will say value listenable builder. Inside the value listenable, you put what you created inside the notifier, which is the selected page notifier. Notifier, like this. So I will use this. It is the selected page notifier. And then for the builder, what you will need to do is you delete this and you press Control Space. Flutter will tell you what you need to put inside. So we will use the second one, this one with the curly bracket. Inside this one, you will need to return what you had previously, which was the navigation bar. At the end, you need to put the semicolon, otherwise it will not work. So semicolon, and now let's save. Okay, we have access to this selected page notifier, which is this value, this thing. But we will rename it the selected page. So it makes more sense. Okay, so we can delete the selected index, and we can delete the set state because we will not use this anymore. And the selected index is now the selected page, which is this value coming from the value listenable builder, which use the selected page notifier inside the notifier, this thing. All right. So after this, what can we do? We can change the selected page. And in order to change this value, the selected page notifier, you need to call the real name. So selected page notifier dot value. So this will change the value which is inside this thing. All right. And next, you can just put this value to the value that we receive from the onDestination selected. So you can say like this, put the semicolon, and now we don't have the value anymore, so everything should be fine. We can remove the stateful widget by putting a stateless widget instead. So how you do this? It could be nice if you just were able to right-click and say refactor and put like, oh, apparently you can do it. Oh, that's even better. I didn't even knew it, so that's cool. Because usually I was just doing like from the override to the override, and then you delete the stateful to stateless, and it does the same thing. But you can just refactor. That's cool. And after this, what you can do is now it should work. So let's restart the application and see if everything still works. We have the profile. It does work indeed. So that's fine. But now we can access, if you understand, we can access this selected page notifier from anywhere inside the app just by using this. So we can go back over the widget 3 like this, and we can wrap this thing, the body, with the value listenable builder. So I will delete this, and I will say value listenable builder. Inside this one, we'll need to put the selected page notifier, the thing we created in the notifier. And the builder, we'll delete this and say Control Space, and we'll say Flutter will give us the answer, so we'll use the second one. And after this, you can say I return, and you return what you had previously, the page at element at. Great. So now we are only missing one step, and it's to put the value inside this. So you could directly put value like this. You could rename it selected page. It could be a better practice maybe. So let's do this. And that's it, I think. So let's refresh this. And now if we click on profile, now we have the profile. And now if you click on home, you have home. So this is how you handle the data with the value listenable builder and the value notifier. So if you remember, you use two things, value notifier and value listenable builder. That's it. This one will hold the data, and this one will be able to listen to the data, and you don't need a set state with this. So that's pretty cool. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so I know this was a lot of things to remember, so what we'll do is a little challenge, okay? If you want, you can just watch and see if you understand. Otherwise, you can try it by yourself before. So the goal of the challenge will be to create, by example, if you go in the widget 3, you see how we have, it's inside the main.dark. You see how we have a brightness.dark. But we can change this for light and save, and now we have a light mode. So it could be cool to have some sort of Boolean that will either say it's true or false, but you will need to use the notifier for this. All right, so let me just show you. We will say, by example, is dark mode notifier, and we will set this as false when we start the application, or we can say true instead, because it will always start like this, and we need to change this for a Boolean. Okay, so this is what you will need to do. You will need to create some sort of logic inside the main in order to display either the brightness light or brightness dark by using the notifier. Okay, so we can do this right now. And there is maybe one thing that I haven't told you, and it's about how to create buttons. All right, because we will